Hello, this is Mrs. Ross, and you're not going to be able to see my cursor, which is unfortunate, so you're going to have to listen. So we're in Lesson 3, Plant Reproduction and Growth. These are the notes. I'm going to kind of show you where you can find everything. So Sexual Reproduction in Plants on page 159. So let's see what page we're on. 59, that's 157. This is page 159, so let's go back. It says, what plants can reproduce sexually? Right here, first sentence, all plants can reproduce sexually. And then there's the definition of a spore, which is supposed to be on, okay, right here. So underneath reproduction of seedless plants, the second sentence, a spore of a seedless plant is a tiny structure that is dispersed from the parent plant and can grow into a new plant body. A spore of a seedless plant is a tiny structure that is dispersed from the parent plant and can grow into a new plant body. What do seedless plants use instead of seeds? Spores. They use spores. Instead of seeds, the bodies of seedless plants grow from spores. Okay. What type of environment do seedless plants live in? Let's see. Because of this requirement for water, many seedless plants live in moist environments. Many seedless plants live in moist environments, and that brings us to our first quick check. So we've gone all the way down to here. Let's see what our quick check is. Where would you expect to see seedless plants such as ferns and mosses? And the answer is going to be low and close to the ground in a moist environment, because that's literally what the question right before it said. Literally. Right there. Where do they live in? Okay. Let's keep going. So this is on page 160, so let's go ahead and go a page. And you can always make me talk faster or slower or pause me or what have you. So under reproduction of seed plants, we have the definition of pollen. So in seed plants, sperm are carried in a microscopic structure called pollen. So it is literally seed plant sperm in a microscopic structure. Lovely. And then I have the definition of an ovule. Eggs develop inside a structure called an ovule. So seed plant eggs develop inside a structure called the ovule. When does pollination occur? So when pollen reaches and fertilizes an egg, pollination occurs. When pollen reaches and fertilizes an egg, pollination occurs. Okay, let's see what this next question is. We are right here. After pollination, what is the next step of reproduction of seed plants? After pollination, let's see, a fertilized egg develops in an embryo. So an embryo would be the next step. And then what becomes a seed? Let's see. The ovule becomes a seed. And then the definition of seed is the structure that contains the embryo inside a protective coating. So the ovule becomes a seed, and the seed definition is the structure that contains the embryo inside a protective coating. How can seeds be distributed? How can seeds be distributed? Seeds can be distributed away from the parent plant by wind, water, or animals. So it can be distributed by wind, water, or animals. So let's go ahead and go on to page 2. And we are still on page 160. How are seed plants classified? Seed plants can be classified as non-flowering or flowering. Either non-flowering or flowering. What is the difference between a non-flowering and a flowering seed? Non-flowering plant seeds are not enclosed in fruit. Flowering plants produce flowers and fruit. Non-flowering plant seeds are not enclosed in fruit. Flowering plants produce flowers and fruit. 3 characteristics of flowering plants are, let's see, that they produce flowers and fruit, 1, that they're the largest group within the plantae kingdom, 2, and that they are also the largest group of plants to live on land. So 3 characteristics of flowering plants: they produce flowers and fruit, 1, they're the largest group within the plantae kingdom, 2, and also the largest group of plants that live on land, 3. So here's our next quick check. Come on, right here. And there's a table for this quick check. It says Those characteristics of two plants, plants A and plants B. Which could be a spruce tree? So let's see. A spruce tree, I believe, is a conifer, which is a non-flowering plant. So we want a non-flowering plant. They both produce seeds, but no fruit and no flowers, but yes, cones. So a conifer is one that produces cones. A spruce tree is a conifer. So I'm thinking, yep, it's A. It's going to be A. Okay, and which type of plant makes up the largest in the Plantae kingdom? Land plants, water plants, flowering plants, non-flowering plants. It's going to be C, flowering plants. Where is that at? Right there. Okay. All right, so we're on to page 162, right here, asexual reproduction in plants. How do tubers reproduce? So let's go down. Let's see, that's 161. And here we go, asexual reproduction in plants. How do tubers reproduce? Let's see. Tubers, such as potatoes, can sprout roots that take hold in the soil and produce a new plant. So they can sprout roots that take hold in the soil and produce a new plant. And then the definition of a plantlet, let me make this go down just a little bit, sorry. There we are, we're right there with the definition of a plantlet. A plantlet, they are tiny plants that grow along the edges of the plant's leaves. They eventually break off and develop into new plants, but they're tiny plants that grow along the edges of the plant's leaves. What does it mean for a plant to self-pollinate? That's actually on page 163, so we got to go one more page. This is 163. Down here at the bottom of the page, let's see, self-pollinate. Cross-pollination. What does it mean to, okay, wait, hold on. Other types of plants cross, the sperm seed carries pollen. When the pollen reaches the egg, the same is called pollination. Some types of plants self-pollinate. This means that pollen is transferred to the egg of the same plant. So for a plant to self-pollinate, it means that the pollen of that plant is transferred to the egg of that same plant. To cross-pollinate, that means that pollen from one plant is transferred to the egg of another plant. That's cross-pollination. Pollen from one plant is transferred to the egg of another plant. Who plays an important role in cross-pollination? Animal pollinators do. Animal pollinators play an important role in cross-pollination because they take the pollen with them. And then we have the definition of nectar. So flowers contain nectar, which is a sugar-rich liquid that provides energy and nutrients to animals. So nectar is a sugar-rich liquid that provides energy and nutrients to animals. Let's go to the next page. So we just did nectar, so we need to go to page 164. We're on 163 here. So on 164.54, here we go. Okay, what is the purpose of the stamen? The stamen is a flower's male reproductive structure. So the purpose of the stamen is that it is the flower's male reproductive structure. The purpose of the pistil is that it is the female reproductive structure of the flower. So the stamen is the male reproductive structure and the pistil is the female reproductive structure. Let's go ahead and do this quick check. Okay, the chart describes several different parts of flowering plants. Which of these gives the correct labels for columns A, B, and C? Okay, so male reproductive structure we know is the stamen. So that's going to be either B or D. And then female reproductive structure is the pistil. Okay, so it's going to be B. The A is stamen, B is pistil, C is flower. Okay, and then how do flowering plants reproduce through sexual reproduction? So you're just going to have to hear the question. The male reproductive structure, the stamen, produces pollen. Pollinators such as insects or the wind carry pollen to the female reproductive structure, the pistil. And that's good enough for me. So the male reproductive structure, or the stamen, produces pollen. Pollinators such as insects or the wind carry pollen to the female reproductive structure, the pistil. We could go on about the fertilization of the ova and all of that, but we don't have to. That's enough. Okay, so let's keep going here. So dispersal of flowering, seed dispersal of flowering plants. What roles do animals play in seed dispersal? This is page 166. So let's go ahead and move along in our book. That's 165. Here we go, seed dispersal. Animals are attracted to the tasty fruits of some flowering plants. So animals can eat the fruit and the seeds pass through the digestive system. That's one way. when animals eat the fruit and the seeds pass through the digestive system. That's one way. Another way is that the seed gets caught on the feet or the fur of an animal. So the seed can get caught on the feet or the fur of an animal as the animal's traveling by. And then lastly, some animals bury the seeds of plants, planning to return and eat them. Sometimes they forget. So we have that the animal ate the fruit and the seeds passed through the digestive system, that the seed hitched a ride on the fur or feet of a passing animal, or that the animal buried the seed of the plant, planning to return, and didn't happen, and all of a sudden you have an oak tree. Okay, so let's see. We are on our next quick check here. Henry designs an experiment to find out why plants without flowers tend to be wind pollinated and not animal pollinated. He takes samples from a variety of plants and studies them in the field. He finds that the evidence supports his hypothesis. Which of these was the hypothesis Henry was testing? Non-flowering plants lack the structures. It's B. Non-flowering plants lack the structures to attract animal pollinators. All right, next page right here. And we're on page 168, describing factors that affect plant growth. So let's continue. That's 167. So here we are. 168. What do plants need for growth? Plants need air, sunlight, water, space, and nutrients for growth. Plants need air, sunlight, water, space, and nutrients for growth. It's the very first sentence. And then the definition of germinate. Let's see. For example, the seeds of different plants may have different requirements to germinate or develop from a seed into a plant. So for germinate, the definition is to develop from a seed into a small plant. And then dormant, the definition of dormant. Let's see. Germination, blah, 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 dormant. Okay, very last sentence. Seeds can delay germination or go dormant until conditions are right for plant growth. So dormant is when a seed delays germination. Dormant is when a seed delays germination. So let's go down to the bottom of this page where genetic factors affect plant growth. And we're going to bring this down just a little bit. We did dormant. We're right here. Here at the top. How do genetic factors affect plant growth? Give 2 examples. So let's see. Genetic factors are the specific forms of genes that parents pass on to offspring during reproduction. A plant's genes affect its traits. So genetic factors affect its traits. Let's see how it affects plant growth. Therefore, different genes are responsible for differences in thousands of plants. Ferns grow well in moist, low light of the forest floor, and cacti grow well in dry, full light conditions. The ability of different types of plants to grow in different conditions is due to genetic differences between plant species. So how do genetic factors affect growth? The ability for different plants to grow in different types of conditions is due to the genetic differences. And then the 2 examples are going to be the ferns that grow in moist, low light, and the cacti that grow in dry, full light. And then we have a quick check. Let's see if we can. Aaron and his spider plant. Aaron has a spider plant that produces several plantlets. Aaron puts each plantlet in its own pot and gives the plantlets to several friends. Identify what would cause some of the plantlets to grow better than others, including examples of probable causes. Okay, so for this first question, the answer would be environmental factors such as amount of water or sunlight would have to be the cause of some plantlets growing better than others. So environmental factors such as amounts of water or sunlight would have to be the cause of some plantlets growing better than others. And then the next question, explain how you know the cause explain how you know what the cause of variation must be. Because all the plantlets are genetically identical due to asexual reproduction. There is no genetic variation in the plantlets because the plantlets have been created asexually with one parent, so they're all genetically identical. So it has to be the environmental factors that cause the differences. Okay. Keeping on. How do environmental factors affect plant growth? I thought I just said that, but give 2 examples. Okay. And this is on page 169, so this is 168. That's 169, environmental factors that affect plant growth. Plants need water and nutrients to grow. Drought or poor soil conditions can severely affect the plant's growth. So I would say that How do environmental factors affect? So they need plant water